What is going on, guys? This versus all game. We're on a review of Kekkai Sensen episode 11, and guess I know the review is very late because obviously the series is ending today, but I will definitely have my episode 12 review up either tomorrow or Monday. But episode 11, this right here reveals so much, and we see now more of White's and Black's past because obviously her parents, they were casters, but we do learn now that White here, she was like the black sheep of the family, because she was born without psychic powers, but Black, or William, this guy was like born with enough powers, to have both of them, have it. So pretty much, like it seems that Black here might have somehow stole, White's power, because obviously, these two are twins, and yet she didn't have any power, but Black here, has so much, it makes her for like both of them. And we see now that Black power is just so much, like they were like this one scene in the past where like where the dog had like stole his ice cream, and like it was on the floor, and we have the dog eating it, and then we see now that like Black emotions were like just so high at that point. We see now that not only were all the animals like lifting off the ground, but even the ground itself, it was like breaking up and also rising into the air. But Black here has not had Black had not had the best life, because we see now that at school he did get picked on a lot, and obviously White did not like that. But for some reason Black here, he would not use his powers, and for some reason I cannot figure that out. And we even see now at one point that Black here really is a coward or a scaredy cat, because we see now that their parents took him to the movie, and we see now that in this movie some guy was a psychic, and we see now that this man, being his victim now, had his head like blown up from his body, and obviously that right there was rather brutal. But we see now, from very early on, White here had like looked out for her brother a lot, and we even see now at one point she was talking to her parents about that. But obviously, her dad here was like trying to reassure her, Black was strong, and eventually, he'll make the choice to be a caster or not, because that right there, when I set in stone, that people born with these psychic powers, had to be a caster. But we see now that White here, she wanted something for herself, and we see her now get into photography, and she actually took pretty good pictures. And so we see now that she like at first she had found this camera that belonged to her father, and we see now that right there is where her hobby had like bloomed from, because at first we see her now taking pictures of her friends, the animals, her surroundings, and we see everybody notices how good she is at this. And we see now that these boys that would normally pick on Black, they had went to White and asked her now for a camera. And so we see now that she actually gave it to them, and Black here did not like that. And so he went after the guys and wanted to get it back from them. But we see now that these guys, being real jerks, they actually threw the camera, over this bridge, and Black here went into the river, to go after it. And so now that when he came to, White was there obviously, at his bedside, and we see now at first, they were talking a bit, but Black here was like acting like, like nothing had happened, or having, something else, and White here did not like that at all. She actually got pretty upset, because obviously, he could have died from this, and yet, he's like acting so calm, and eventually White had lost it, and we see her now crying. And so now we see that afterwards, Black finally, showed some real emotion, and both of them were now crying. And eventually, like once they were back at home, we see now that, like earlier in their life, Black had made the decision where he would stop using powers till he had matured and became strong enough, because we see now at one point where White had made just like perfectly mudball, and Black got so jealous that he had destroyed it, but White here was not upset. She started making a new one, and Black felt like, he felt like that his sister was like leaving him behind, and obviously he did not like that, and so obviously he had some growing up to do, and like I said, that right there is where he had made a choice to not get the powers anymore, till he became strong in his own, and obviously till he had, matured a bit. But now we see, White here, she was like taking these pictures, to like leave a sign that, she was there, because obviously she could die in an instant. And so we see now, there was like one night where Black had took a picture of her, because in all the pics that like White had took so far, none of them had her in it. And so we see now that when Black here showed her that picture, she started crying, and we see that it was not because, she was like sad or mad. It's because, she was happy. And we see them now having a rather, a sibling love moment, where they hug each other, and that right there was nice. But then we, fast forward a bit, to where the first calamity happened. And so we see now that, while White was like running to her family, obviously she got caught up in some explosion, and that right there did hurt her, but at least, she had found that gun off a dead person. And eventually now, when they catch up, well, when she goes to her brother, that right there is where that black flame, that a black flame known as Blank, had appeared. And obviously that right there, is where, Black's courage, finally came to the surface, because obviously he not want anything to happen to his sister, and so he pretty much willingly gave a body, to his entity. And so now, like going back to the present now, we do see that White here actually did, help Blank, get Leo's eyes, because we see now that Blank or Black, whatever you want to call this person now, he had used his psychic powers to like bind Leo, and then White here put that goggle thing over his eyes. And so at first I thought that maybe that right there would like steal his eyes, like possibly take him out of his head. But no, that right there was not the case. But obviously, they were stuck to his head. And so now that, White, now that Black got what he came, him and Leo, disappeared, leaving White all alone. And so we see now, Blank here was like taking Leo, to some underground, because at first we saw him dragging him down these stairs till he had reached a room with this drawing or symbol or some kind of formula, on the ground. And so now we see that on the surface, we had the people, celebrating. And so now we see, Leo finally came to, but it was obviously too late, because we see now that Blank here is now using his eyes, through those goggles, and that right there is allowing him to use, this formula, whatever is, to however he wants it to be. And so now we see now that in the sky, now I like to me it seemed like, maybe everybody can't see this, because obviously, whenever we had went to White, we cannot see that, we cannot see the sky change at all. But where all the people were, in the sky, we saw like these red branches or stems, like branching out. But obviously, Blank's body or Black's body, it cannot handle, this like amount of power or the strain of it. And we see now, some blood was like coming out of his mouth. But then we go to White now, who really did seem like a ghost, because we saw her now walking through the streets and no one seemed to really notice her. But eventually she goes to where her and Leo watched a movie that one time, and now we have her going through, his camera. And obviously now Dover did like that there, definitely her regret, because we can see now in her eyes. But then we have Sonic appear out of nowhere, and obviously, he wants to find Leo. But not only that, we do see now that once again Whiteheart is now acting up, and it's definitely causing her pain. But eventually, Blank does succeed with his plan, and now we see that apparently him and like Black and Blank, they are now separate beings, because we see one with White, and then we still have one, have one with like Leo as well. And apparently, this one that appeared with White now, it took it to the church, and apparently this guy shot her. Now, I don't know if maybe he had a change of heart or what, because we do see after learning, the truth about them, about how they had, some barrier inside their heart that would like keeping them alive now. Apparently, blank or black, whoever that was, like we have no idea who that was, because to me there is no way that right there could have been black, because there was no way, he would like shoot his sister, but obviously, someone definitely pointed a gun at her heart and shot her. And so now we see that because of that, like even though, black and white might already be dead, at least to Leah, she was alive. And the fact that now that she might really die this time, that right there would like definitely crush him. But now we see that once again the collapse is happening, and now we have Leah pretty much, kind of powerless or very weakened right now, especially after having like use like that. So hopefully, in the finale, we will learn, if like White's really dead. Hopefully she's not, because I do like White. To me, she is definitely, the best girl of the series, because obviously Chain here did not get that much screen time alone with KK. But overall, a solid episode. Seeing black and white paths like that, to me, it was definitely quite nice. And that ending right there was like definitely a cliffhanger. So hopefully, I will be able to review, the finale tomorrow, Monday, and you guys will see it soon. But for this one though, I will give maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. But of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And you guys take it easy. I'll see you all next time.